Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again towards Parashat Vayeshev. And we have an incredible story here that is relevant to our life, which is we live in a world with tremendous temptations, whether it is for sex or drugs or violence. Everything's accessible through our mobile phone. Everything is, we live in a world of tremendous temptations. I don't think it's precedented at all in Jewish history that people had accessibility to such terrible things and such extreme negative things as we have in our generation. And we have to work and hard to defend ourselves against these temptations. In our Parshat Vayeshev, we have a story about Yosef, that he had an incredible temptation. What is a temptation? He was alone as a slave, a beautiful, Yefei Torah v'Yefei, he was a beautiful young man. He was 30 years old, and he was a beautiful young man as a slave in the house of Potiphar, who was a very important man in Egypt, and his wife tempted him. He was out of the house, and his wife Potiphar tempted him to sleep with her. And let's try and think of this for a moment. He has no past. He has no future. He's got nobody in the world. He's a beautiful-looking young man. He is, and he's 30 years old. So his hormones are driving him mad, and her hormones are driving her mad. Why? Because she is married to a seris paro, a person who is emasculated, a person who's castrated. So she is sexually frustrated. So she very much wants to be with this beautiful young slave, and she tries everything to be with him. And he runs out on her. He doesn't do this. He's not willing to partake in such a thing. He's not willing to be with her, and he runs out. And the question is, how did he manage to overcome this incredible temptation? There was nobody else in the home. She wanted him very much. He also was sexually frustrated at the age of 30. He had nothing to lose. What is it that saved him? What is it that saved him? To understand that, we have to look at the beginning of the Pasha. The beginning of the Pasha, we're told that Yaakov loved Yosef. Why did he love Yosef? He ben zkunim hu lo. He was a ben zkunim. What does ben zkunim mean? So we have a few different perushim. So the Rashi says, first of all, that he was zaken, is from the word zekana chochma, which means he was the smartest boy of them all. That's why he loved him, because he was most intelligent. And we know later in the life, Paro also compliments him for his intelligence. Ein chacham v'navon kamocha. So he was highly intelligent. There's a second perush in Rashi that says, Kol ma shelamad mishem ve'ever masar lo, which means all the Torah that Yaakov ever learned, he passed on to Yosef. And then there's another perush, which is ziv ukinim, which means he had a similar face. His face was exactly like Yaakov's face. And therefore he loved him. Any one of these three answers is a good answer, and that is what the direction Rashi is taking. Whilst Baal HaTurim explains that everything he learned from Shem Ve'eva, Yaakov sat for 14 years learning in yeshiva. So everything he learned in yeshiva, he passed on to him. And the Ramban doesn't like this answer. Ramban doesn't like this answer because he wasn't the youngest in the family. Binyamin was the youngest. And how much younger was he from Yisachar and Zvulun? Maybe a year. He wasn't obviously the youngest. What is it that makes him so smart? What is it that makes him? He doesn't like Rashi's answer. Instead, he says that in those times, what they did was the old man took one of his younger boys to stay at home with him. Didn't go out to the field. Stay at home with him to be his right hand to help him. He needed a helper at home. They didn't have old age homes. They didn't have health care. They needed a young person to be with him because he was getting old. So that is the Ramban. However, the Kli Yaakov of Ephraim Lunchit, 16th century, has a beautiful perush, which says the following. Let's look at the three answers Rashi said. Rashi said, first of all, he was very intelligent. And then second of all, he says, everything he learned, he passed on to him. And the third thing he says, he had a similar face. And he puts all this together and said, this is really one perush. Why is it one perush? Because he was so intelligent, he picked him to teach him everything he knew. And then, Chochmat Adam Ta'ir Panav. We know that the wisdom of a person brightens up his face. We know in the word panim, which is face in Hebrew, comes from the word pnim, comes from the word inside. You could see on the face of a person how he's feeling. You can't see on his hands, on his legs, how he's feeling, but on his face, you could see how he's feeling. And Chochmat Adam Ta'ir Panav, a person can light up his face from wisdom. And so besides having a similar face, and besides teaching him everything because he was highly intelligent, he also had, we have this issue of Chochmat Adam Ta'ir Panav. Therefore, he had the same face. It's all really one perush. He had the same face because he had the same knowledge, because he was so intelligent. He got everything that Yaakov knew. So he turned into a similar face. Now let's take this and look at our original question. What kept him from temptation? So Rashi says there, what kept him from temptation? That he wanted to be with this woman. She wanted him very much. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, he saw his father. He saw his father and he said, I can't do such a terrible thing if I'm the son of Yaakov. That's the great tzaddik Yaakov. How come he saw his father? Was the hologram? What was it? Did he see his father in a dream? How is it that he saw his father? So I have an interesting perush, which is the following. Rich women could afford themselves in their bedroom something which was very rare at the time, which was a mirror. They had a mirror. So Yosef was in her bedroom and about to be with her, and he looked in the mirror. What does he see? He sees his face, but his face is exactly the face of his father. And he says, whoa, that's my father. No, it's me. I can't do such a terrible thing if I've got such a face. I remember who I am. All of a sudden, I remember my identity. I'm the son of Yaakov Avinu. Look at all the Torah. I can see in my face all the Torah that I've learned. I can't do such a terrible thing. And he runs out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to look in the mirror every now and then. And we have to see not only ourselves, we have to see our parents, grandparents and great-grandparents, and what they went through so that we should be who we are, what values they gave over to us over the generations, how much they davened and prayed for us so that we should succeed, how much they wanted us to be what they are, and even more, we should be an upgrade of who they are. And we don't want to let them down. And every time I look in the mirror, I think of this Kli Yaakov. I think of this beautiful perush, and I say to myself, I don't want to let my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents all the way down. I know I look similar to them. I know I'm a direct descendant of them. And I don't want to let them down. And that's what helps me with my temptations in life. And I thought it's an interesting idea to share with you. Shabbat Shalom.